Good evening and welcome to another episode of Unstoppable. I am Victoria with my amazing, wonderful husband. It's like the redhead and the redneck.
Howdy, y'all.
I'm so happy to have another amputee with me on this episode tonight because my husband, Mark, makes fun of me and says some of the meanest things. I'll wait till you're not drinking because I don't want you to. He'll say, see, he'll say stuff like, we'll play cards, and he'll say something like, oh, you lost your hand. Right?
Yeah.
Or I didn't want to go out to a store or anything right after. And I like lifted up my nub and he goes, is it half off? I mean, these are, and I have the
Part
best
of the therapy.
I have the best sense of humor because, like, right before I go in for any of my operations, I always tell my doctor, "You're gonna leave me in stitches, but you're gonna get on my nerves, right?" And I mean, these are things that I do. But to have another fellow amputee with me, who is amazing, I'm so excited to have Mark with us. His name is Mark Wright Sr. He is the first and only. I'm so excited. He can motorcycle officer ever in the United States. Like, this is just amazing. I was so excited when I found him. You can tell I'm a little excited because I was like, it's like my brother. And all of us have law enforcement background. You were a Marine. Thank you for your service. My husband was Air Force. And it's just to know that I have you coming on here. Congratulations on not giving up, for reaching your goal, for doing all that you do. I am just so glad you're here. I guess he's glad too, but thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Whatever I can do to get the word out there that our minds are only limit.
There you go.
Did you hear that?
That
Did
sounds
you
like
hear
a
that?
good book title.
Right. That is a great book title. That's awesome.
So you started on your book?
No, not. I'm a dumb jarhead, man. There ain't no writing unless it's in crayon.
Hey, that might be, put it in gray crayon, see how many jarheads read it.
But even broken crayons make beautiful pictures.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I spent 13 and a half years in law enforcement, Mark. I was a police officer right out of the Air Force. And then I went to become a private detective, sheriff's deputy inside the jail, and then finally a canine officer. During my police officer years, 6 years there, I got an opportunity to, one of my part-time jobs was to escort funerals. And of course, you do that on a motorcycle. So you buy your motorcycle, Harley Davidson, of course, and then you start training.
How do you know he has a Harley? You don't know. I know whether he does or not, but you don't know if he has a
No
Harley.
self-respecting officer would
Please
have
don't
anything
hang
to
on.
laugh.
Because how do you know he has a Harley?
You have a Harley, don't you?
Not anymore. I recently sold it.
And bought a new one?
Not yet. I sold it to buy a BMW because I've only ridden Harleys my entire life. So I actually crashed. That's how I lost my leg, was in a motorcycle crash. I was on my road glide. So I had a new bike before I had a new leg. Bought a brand new CVO road glide. It was beautiful. Rode it for about a year, and that's where I was like, I want to go to the Motors Academy, but our department only uses BMWs. So I actually got rid of my Harley, got a BMW. So that's what I've been riding. I got an adventure bike.
Okay.
So I got that, but even my wife has said it's only a matter of time now before I get rid of this and put a Harley back in my garage. She knows.
Can we talk about the day that this happened?
Yeah.
So you were coming home from work.
Yep.
And you were obviously in an accident. Can you kind of tell everyone what happened?
Yeah. So it was actually a crazy day. Working second watch where I'm supposed to be off at midnight, but of course we don't control what calls we go to. And we had a report of a traffic collision where there were small children that had popped out of the trunk of this car. So we all respond. Turns out the driver of the vehicle was the children's father, who had overdosed right after telling his kids it was okay for them to hide in the trunk because they were going to surprise mom. They were picking mom up and they were going to surprise him. So kids got in the trunk. He took some sort of drug that OD'd. He went across a couple lanes of traffic, crashed. Kids popped out. They were uninjured, thank goodness.
Right.
So we long story short, we were going to arrest him for DUI, child endangerment, and the whole 9 yards. But because of the crash and the OD, he was going to be stuck in the hospital for a long time. So my leadership decided, hey, we'll do a notify warrant. We'll arrest them later. Just go ahead and come back and deal with the paperwork. We'll take care of all the other stuff tomorrow. So get back, finally get out of work at 3:00 in the morning. Jump on my Harley. It's my personal bike. I've been riding for years and years and years. Jump on my bike, start heading home. I live about 55 miles away from where I work, and it's mostly interstate. So I jump on the interstate, doing interstate speeds. Next thing you know, I'm going around a dark corner, going through what I thought was fog, because we're right here on the coast in Southern California. We get a lot of fog from the ocean. Well, as I'm going through this turn, I started realizing I'm smelling coolant. What I was smelling was the coolant from a car that had wrecked out. And right when it clicked what it was, I saw out of the corner of my eye pieces of the car. And I was able to look through the fog debris that I was going through. That's when I noticed the outline of the car, realized it was too late. Impacted the car broadside, basically, because it had no lights on. I couldn't see it. So I hit it. I was moving pretty good. Hit it, but luckily, my Marine Corps training, I was a crew chief in the Marine Corps. I used to fly on helicopters. So I had a split second. I grabbed my shoulders, tucked my chin, ejected. Flew for quite a while, rolled skid. Luckily, never lost consciousness. Some angel had stopped his vehicle when he saw my bike explode. He stopped because he knew that I'd be somewhere. So he comes running over to me because I started screaming out just to see if anybody had stopped, screaming for help. And he comes over and he's like, hey, I already called 911. Don't worry, they're coming. Well, I know that California Highway Patrol is the one who responds to crashes, and they're not always very fast. And I knew that my leg was pretty messed up because I could just tell. So I told him, I said, hey, call 911 back, and I want you to relay word for word exactly what I tell you. So he gets them back on the line. I give them my police ID number, and I give them the code for officer down 1199. And we kind of went back and forth a couple times. Hey, they want to make sure you're an officer. What's your ID number? And say, hey, and within seconds, I started hearing sirens. So, which was good, because what I didn't realize was I had severed 2 arteries in my leg. Because basically what had happened is when I ejected, everything crumpled up on my left heel. So I basically ripped my heel off my foot. I also have multiple compound fractures all below the knee. And then, fire got there, tourniquet on me. All the cops arrived, got me in an ambulance, and got me to the hospital, where they tried to do limb salvage for about 2 weeks. Told them from day one, it's never going to work. I did multiple combat tours. I saw Marines getting blown up. I knew what was good and what wasn't good. So I was at peace from day one. Told my wife, I said, look, I'm not keeping this foot. I said, at the end of the day, the only injuries I had were my left leg below the knee. I had multiple compound fractures. My foot was just looked like it went through a meat grinder. And then I fractured my pelvis as well, because I was carrying my gun. And when I hit, my gun shattered my right side of my pelvis where I was carrying it. But other than that, I was fine. No neck, back, nothing. So, very blessed. Yeah. So fast forward, that crash was the 13th of March. The 24th, they finally amputated my leg. Went home 3 days later. Unfortunately, got really infected. Had to go in for a revision surgery in April. But then that started after lots of infection battling. They thought I had osteomyelitis. So I did a lot of IV antibiotics here at the house. But July, I got my leg, started walking and rehabbing. By the 1st of December, I was back at work full duty. So
what made you decide to stay on motorcycles and not something else?
I've been riding longer than I haven't been riding at this point in my life. So I started riding when I was a drill instructor back in 2001. I was living 80 miles from the front gate of where I worked, and getting to and from, it was economic, and it was a lot faster, especially here in Southern California. So I started riding 2001, and it was never looking back. So since 2001, I've had one, and at times I had up to 3 motorcycles, all Harleys, in my garage. So that was a good time. I had a V-Rod, an Ultra Classic, and a Road Glide all in my garage, all in my name. So
that's amazing.
So yeah.
So going through the process, and how was your department when you went through, and first you were the oldest cadet, which I think is amazing. Rock on. That's awesome.
Grandpa.
And he goes
And
through,
honor grad. I was the honor grad at the same time.
Oh, good deal.
and how did you get more support or more slack from some of the other officers?
No, my department has been absolutely amazing. There's a lot of people who have issues with the departments they work for. I'm the opposite. They have been nothing but supportive and amazing. They've done everything they could to help me succeed. Even when it was time for me to go on full duty, I brought a letter from my doctor at the VA who cleared me for full duty, and they didn't even question it. They said, "Do you believe you're ready?" And I was like, "Heck yeah, I'm ready."
Yeah.
Like, and like, the chief of our department was in constant communication with me and my wife the whole time I was in the hospital. Like, especially coming from the Marine Corps, like we've dealt with tragedies in the Marine Corps, like how we take care of families. And my wife will be the first to admit, like, she wasn't expecting the support from the blue side, like what we got. Like, she's
Right.
like, wow, at times it was a little overwhelming for her. She's like, I need a minute to breathe. Like, y'all need to let me go for a minute. But no, yeah, my department's been nothing short of amazing. And then even when I told them I wanted to go out to the Motors Academy, they went out and they got a thumb shifter for me that they're like, hey, we're going to buy this and we're going to outfit a couple motorcycles. So that way it makes it easier for you to shift. Turns out it's not compatible with BMW. So they found this out like a week before the academy was supposed to start. So they're like, hey man, sorry, we're trying to make this accommodation for you, but it's just not going to work. So do you want to wait to go to the academy until we find something that works? I was like, no, how about you just let me try to ride the motorcycle as it is? They're like, do you think you can? I was like, let me get on it and find out. And there we went. We went on a ride, and they're like, he can actually do it. I was like, yeah, I can.
It's all state of mind. Really,
Yeah.
really. It is.
Yeah, they were cracking up because I had to make some adjustments. So I literally had an Allen wrench with me, and we went and rode for a little bit. I was having problems, so I popped the foot off and turned it in a little bit more towards the foot peg, screwed it back on. And they're like, that is so crazy. I was like, all right, let's try this. And through trial and error, we got it.
Has your prosthetic come off at all while you were riding?
Not my work bike. The day I bought my new BMW, the day I was bringing my BMW home, because at that point I was in suction suspension the whole time. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, I wasn't wearing the outer sleeve, the suspension sleeve with it. So I went down, got the bike, and I'm riding it home. And of course it's rush hour traffic. And it's a backcountry road. I went to reposition my foot on the foot peg, and the whole left leg just slides off. Boom. Falls in the middle of the street, and the cars are just snaking around it like it's a dead dog in the roadway. And I'm sitting there on this brand new bike that I just brought from the dealership, and I can't even, it's like, if I get off the bike, I'm gonna have to drop it because I have no left leg to put the side stand down. So luckily I flagged some people down. They're like, do you need help? I'm like, yes, can you bring that to me? Because I can't get off my bike. I was like, that's my leg. They're like, do you need help putting it on? I was like, no, just bring it to me. I'll get it on. But yeah, so it's only fallen off once. And now when I ride, I'm in a pin lock system. So it's a mechanical lock. It shouldn't fall off.
Yes.
Good. Nice.
I have kids that'll look at me and I'll be like, I'm Captain Hook's sister. They think that's really super cool. Yes, that is super cool. So you were only hospitalized for 3 days for your amputation.
No, I was in almost just short of 2 weeks because I crashed on the 13th. And the amputation was on the 24th. And I was every day or every other day I was going in for another surgery. I think I had close to 12 surgeries.
After your amputation, how long was it until
it was 3 days? Yeah, once I got the amputation, I was done. I was out. Like,
I'm gonna give you a good laugh. How long do you think? Don't say it. How long do you think I was in when I got my arm amputated?
Post amputation?
Post. Stop it. Whatever you're doing. Stop it.
A couple days. I have no idea.
Go ahead.
That night.
I went home. I got amputated, and I went home that night, and I took off everything so I could see it.
Nice.
And I actually took out all my own stitches.
This is the curse of a redhead.
Watch
I swear.
it. Yeah, I took out all my own stitches, and my surgeon's like, how do you take out your own damn stitches with one arm? Because, I mean, he's like, I've actually tried this, and I don't know how you do it. And I'm like, well, you have a heavy hand. No, I'm not. I'll do it myself. So I did it, and I've never taken a single pain medication. I've never not one pain med, and nothing. And so I was so excited when I was learning about you, and it was like your brain is what your limit is. Like,
Yeah.
you can do anything you put your mind to. And I was like, I have got to talk to him because so many people give you more like sympathy and they're like,
Mhm.
oh, you can't do anything anymore. I tie my own shoes, I open a bottle, I
wipe my own ass.
nice. Like
Exactly. Like,
my husband's like, who tied your shoes? I did. I won't let it stop me. It might slow me down a little bit, but I'm still going to do it. I mean,
yeah.
How did you get to where you are in your mind where it's like, it's limitless? I can do what I want to do. Because so many people that I've had the pleasure of talking with don't have the mentality that you do about,
No.
this is
I
your limit.
Yeah, I credit a lot of it to my Marine Corps time. Seeing the Marines coming back and seeing what they're doing. Like I've got friends who are big with Wounded Warrior Foundation, a lot of the other different veterans organizations that are out there, and I'm seeing the stuff that these guys are doing, and it's just like, you got these guys with no legs that are out surfing, and you're like, how is that even possible? Like, this is crazy. So that's very first day in the hospital. That's what I told my wife. I said, if I want to go back to work, this will be the fastest way. Just cut it off. Let me get a good prosthetic. I was like, and I'll be fine. Like, and that's been my mentality ever since. And a lot of people are like, oh man, it's easy. Or you make it look easy. And I'm like, yeah, come see me at 2:00 in the morning when I'm hopping my tail to the bathroom because I got to pee because I'm a 50-year-old man. I said, that's when being a leg amputee sucks because you can't just get up and go. You either got to put a leg on or you got to hop. I said, so there are downfalls, but those aren't the stories that I tell people all the time.
Yeah. Did you ever go through phantom pain?
Yeah, I have it. Again, not nearly as bad as some of my friends have dealt with. I quit taking when I left the hospital, I wasn't on any pain meds. Even after my revision surgery, it was one of them, like, I'm not a big medication guy. I never have been. So even I was on, what was funny is I Marine Corps PTSD stuff. I've been on gabapentin for years for my insomnia. So it's kind of funny. They're like, oh, you're going to start taking gabapentin for your phantom pains. I'm like, more? Like, how much more can I be taking? So I take it not as often now because it doesn't even help with insomnia anymore. So it's one of them, like, every now and then, like when I was going through the Motors Academy, I started having a lot of my old medical issues popping up, and that the gabapentin helped with that. But again, I haven't taken any in 2 weeks. So it's one of them, like, I'm lucky. Like, my partner laughs. He knows when I'm having them because I'll start banging my leg off the side of the patrol car door, like, because I always drive. So I'd be sitting there just banging my leg, just trying to get those nerve endings doing something other than making it feel like my foot's on fire or something. But yeah, not nearly as bad. So yeah, get them. Toes are, it feels like a hot poker's either going through my heel or like my toes are being crushed by something. Yeah. Those are the two.
Weather affect you too?
I'm in Southern California. We don't get a whole lot of weather change.
Okay, fair enough.
So I don't know. Like,
yeah. Have they done either nerve transposition, nerve transfers? None
nope.
of that.
Nope. Like,
None.
I had a nerve block put in for a couple of surgeries. They did nerve blocks, but those were gone after several hours.
See? Yeah, that's what I've had done. No TENS unit or anything.
So I use it not for the phantom pains. For all my other issues, yeah. Like, I got a nice TENS unit that I purchased years. I used to be a marathon runner. So I used to run marathons almost every single weekend before my crash. So it was like the TENS unit has always been part of my rehab process for various ailments and issues. So, I mean, I do use it, but I've honestly never even had it hooked up to my residual limb at all.
Have they never talked about implanting one?
No.
Wow.
Again, because it's not one of those things like when I go see my doctor, like, he asks how everything is. I'm like, I'm fine. Like, yeah, every now and then I get it, but it's nothing so unbearable that I can't get to go away within a few minutes. So I don't feel like it really impacts me enough to have to worry about pursuing anything else.
So how else has your life changed since you ended up losing your leg?
Honestly, it's only gotten for the good. Like, I've had so many cool things happen because, like, after I went in for my revision surgery, My wife was in the waiting room and she saw an ad for one of the local solar companies out here. And every major holiday, like 4th of July, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, they gift a warranted veteran a complete solar system. They're like, oh, so just go online and nominate whatever veteran you think is worthy. And my wife's like, huh. So she sitting in the waiting room waiting on me. She submits this thing, and next thing you know, 3 days later, hey, we've selected your husband to be the recipient for this year. So yeah, 4th of July that year, you know, I didn't even have a leg yet. They had a big old media crew out here, and I got an 18-panel solar system. And it, you know, it wasn't because of the crash, but had it not been for the crash, my wife would have never seen it to nominate me for it. Stuff like that, you know, the recognition by the department for, you know, one, coming back to full duty and going back out on patrol, and then now completing the Motors Academy. You know, I've talked at our prayer breakfast for the law enforcement, you know, told my story for that. Like, I've met so many cool people. And even where I go get my prosthetics made, this guy, the guy who makes my leg, specializes in very high activity amputees. So he deals with a lot of military special forces, foreign forces. Like, he's had several Ukrainian soldiers come over, soldiers from the Republic of Georgia coming over. He deals with a lot of Paralympians and stuff like that. So like, and I'm meeting all these people like just on a regular basis. Albert Lynn, who's on the National Geographic Channel, he goes to my prosthetist, met that guy. Like, I've met some cool people, and they just reinforce that our mind is our only limit. And it's like, get out there and spread the word to these people. Like, quit feeling sorry for yourself and just get out there and do what you want to do. You know, I've said it from day one. The only two things in life we control are our attitude and our behavior, and those directly impact everyone around us. So why not try to find something positive, you know, that you can focus on instead of the negative, because the negative stuff we can't control. So
that's right. Mark, I want to ask you, help me here in regards to the fact that I have the most amazing soulmate ever. He's been my soulmate. Stop it. The day I met him, actually, I was hazing him. His FTO, I knew, and he asked me if I'd haze him, and I said, oh, crap. The minute I met him, I knew. I was an instructor at the academy, and I knew I was in trouble. And anyway, if you could give him some advice, man-to-man, former law enforcement, military, everything, because he doesn't understand, like, I want to sweep, and sweeping is one of the hardest things for me, one-handed, right?
I can't hear you.
Like, I want to do sweeping. Like, I want to sweep the house.
Yeah.
And my husband is like, let me do that. And I'm like, I can do it. Now, it does take me quite a bit longer, but I still want to do it. So if you could give my husband some advice man to man about, you know, things that he would maybe understand better, what would you say to a spouse of someone who isn't an amputee? They don't understand that.
Let them figure out what their limits are. Like, until we make that decision for ourselves, we're going to want to do stuff, you know, all like before I even got a leg, when we had that whole production crew coming out, I was convinced I was going to help my wife clean. And it wasn't until I was falling flat on my face, busted my face up. She's like, "Will you listen to me now?" What? Okay, yeah. But we're like, we still want to, you know, it's it's hard though, because even my wife, she helps people with special needs on a regular basis. They do independent living services for people with disabilities to get them out on the, like, I say supportive living, and she corrects me every time, but that's not what it is. So, but she's built her career off of helping people. And she's, oh, let me do this, let me do that. And it's like, hey, time out. Let me figure it out. You know, let me deal with it. And that's where, you know, I don't know, maybe because I'm the guy, that it's easier for her to say, okay, you got it. Whereas, you know, because we are men, we want to be fixers. So
right, like, you know, the thing is like tying my shoe. I've learned to do it myself. Sweeping is so challenging for me, but he's like, I'll do it, and I'm like, no, let me do it. It takes me a lot longer, yes, but there's certain things that, you know, I tell him, I've got to figure out how to do this. Let me do this, you know, like stirring. You can't hold the pan while you stir. There's just certain things you can't do, and I say that to, and I actually have I'm paralyzed on part of it, and the nerves are gone. So I say to my husband, you know, let me do this. I love you with all my heart and soul, but I don't think because he's never really got the chance to talk to somebody else who
Mhm.
is, an amputee like we are. So for him to understand that we're learning how to do things new. We have
Yeah.
to learn how to do everything over. Like I had to learn how to do everything that you could imagine over again. And I want to be able to say, I can do
Yeah.
this. And
Well, and that's where I say, like, my left foot, like, the heck do you, besides standing and walking, what else do you need a left foot for? Like that exactly like I told my friend Javi with the arm issue. Like, dude, like a hand, that's a whole new lifestyle. Like, you really do have to learn how to redo so many things in life. That's so, like I say, being a leg amputee, it's nothing. Like, I won't say it's nothing because we do have our challenges, but it's not like losing a hand. Like, I had surgery on my hand at one point, and I remember the whole time it was my dominant hand. I'm in a cast, wiping your own butt. Like, I got to relearn this. Like, it was so like, now you're permanently like that, and it's like, holy crap. That's why I told him, hands, no pun intended. My guys, hands down, much harder than we have it.
So I want to piggyback off that.
Yeah.
When you have on your prosthetic, okay, I don't know if a lot of folks know this, but when you're on a motorcycle, the left side is your shifter. Okay.
Yeah.
You've got gears that you operate with basically your toes. Okay. The toe of your boot. Okay. And it's more of a feeling, unless you hear the RPMs. Like, not every time you're going to hit the gear.
Yeah.
I've been on so many motorcycles over my years. You're not going to hit it every single time. And when you hit that gas, that accelerator, you hear the RPMs go up. Oh, let me pull the clutch and then pop it back into gear. You cannot feel that, can you? So
No.
you have to.
Well, that's what's weird, especially with the prosthetic, is as time goes on, I can feel when my foot. So I can't, like, there's no feeling down there, but I can sense when there's something under my toe or under my heel. I can feel like the way the foot is sitting on the foot peg. And so what I have to do is I can feel how it's sitting on the foot peg, and just from basically muscle memory, I know that where it's out on the foot peg, it's in a good position to where I basically lift up at my hip. So I lift my whole leg up at once, and that's how I shift. It just, the sole of my boot catches that gear shift. And then when I have to shift down, I just kind of clumsily just push it down, just jam it down on that shift peg. And that's how I do it. But what's weird is I do have some sort of feeling when it's in the right spot or in the wrong spot. And it's all because of how the prosthesis is fitting onto my residual limb. It's so weird trying to explain that to people who aren't amputees. They're like, you can feel it? I was like, yes and no. Like, I can sense that there's something there. I don't know what it is, but I can tell you that there's something there. So it definitely helps. Like, my brain is learning as time goes on, all those little nuances with the prosthetic.
Now, I'm on one more thing here. As cops, riding bikes, we rode in tandem. Yep. I don't know anybody else who rides in tandem. Okay.
Mirrors touching almost.
That's right. How are other officers with you on that? Is that 100% trust still there?
Oh yeah. No, we went right after we took our final riding exam. We took a long ride, and almost everyone from the section went with us, and we went riding through the mountains here in Southern California, where it's very difficult. And we were, side by side the majority of the time. And the guy who was right behind me, who's been in the motor section for several years, commented afterwards. He's like, "Hey, I only saw you miss shift a couple times." He goes, "But he's like, you recovered every single time. Like, it was never a safety issue." He goes, "That's crazy." He's like, "Welcome to the unit." Like,
right. Wow.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Have you ever worried about when you do like a pullover, if somebody got out and gave chase? Do you ever worry about how you would proceed?
No, because it's a lose-lose for that individual. Like, I've prior to going to the motors, I was out on patrol for 2.5 years, and I've been in some foot chases. Like I said, it's a lose-lose. If they outrun me, oh, good for you. You outran the one-legged cop. And when I catch them, it's, bro, you just got caught by a one-legged cop. Like, so it's a lose-lose for them. Like, they get taught crap to regardless. Like,
wait till they get in the block. Oh, you got called by Officer Wright?
Yeah. I had a 20-year-old kid a couple of weeks ago. Matter of fact, this is the prosthetic I was wearing. I don't know if the camera will show it, but I've got a bunch of scrapes on it. Where's my camera? A bunch of scrapes on it. And I'd had the prosthetic for all of like 2 days. But this 20-year-old kid decides he wants to fight me on these concrete steps.
Oh,
So
no.
after I got him into handcuffs and in the back of my patrol car, all the other officers are like, bro, like, you just picked a fight with probably the worst cop alive to fight. Like, this dude did 25 years in the Marine Corps. Like, you're not going to win in a fight just because he's just too darn stupid to lose. I said, and then we charge him with felony vandalism for the damage he did to my prosthetic.
You just want to take it off and say, you're an idiot.
Yeah. I was like, bro, you just got beat by a 50-year-old one-legged man. Like, come on now. You're 20. You should be ashamed of yourself. Yeah. There's no shame in our game. We will talk crap every possible opportunity we can. That's what I said. If they run from me, it's a lose-lose for them.
Right?
Yeah.
What do you think is going to be next for you? Because everything you've done, you're just soaring through it. So what's next?
Honestly, the motors unit was where I ultimately wanted to go, because our department, you're not forced to go back to patrol after so many years. We've got guys who have been with the motors unit for over 20 years.
Wow.
Like, and I don't want to promote. I was a sergeant major in the Marine Corps, which is the highest rank you can be. Like, I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Now I just want to be a police officer. And if they're going to pay me to ride a motorcycle, I will do that until I can retire and collect a second retirement. Because like I said, I'm 50, like, fighting 20-year-old dudes, it hurts. Like, I talk a lot of crap, but I was rubbing some biofreeze for days afterwards. Like, body just don't hold up like it used to.
Yeah, I get that.
I had a lot of fights myself when I was sheriff's deputy. Inside the jail, you fight a lot.
Yeah, I bet.
Oh my God. And it's always the little guys, you know? So
yeah, that was this kid. Like, he weighs like 130 pounds soaking wet. Like, come on, dude. I'm 200 pounds. Like, and I got all my Batman gear on me. Like, come on now. You ain't never going to win, man. Like,
how do the kids react to you when they see you?
A lot of them ask if I'm a real cop. Like, they can't believe that because my uniform, the department allows me to have my left leg cut off. So the left pant leg of my uniform is cut off the majority of the time I'm out there. So my prosthetic, everyone can see it.
Exposed, right.
Yeah, and it's so I can, clean my leg off when it's super sweaty, add socks as I need to when my limb loses volume. But a lot of times they're like, "Are you a real officer?" Like, that's a real gun too. Yeah, for real. Like, they're like, "How can that be? Like, can you run?" I'm like, "Yeah, you want to give it a shot? Like, you want to see?" But not for the most part. I get a lot of mostly positive comments because they're like, "That's awesome." The department trusts you to be able to be out here, and like I said, it's a testament to the department for having that trust in me and understanding that, yeah, I can do it. So
yeah, that's amazing, because a lot of departments aren't like that.
Right. So when I heard about you, Mark, I referenced the movie A Few Good Men.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No, it's not A Few Good Men. That's Tom Cruise.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm not going to tell you. Cookie, give me my 12.
Tell me the name.
No, I'm not telling you.
I'm 50 years old. I forget. Anyway, Cuba Gooding Jr. had to stand up in that full suit.
Yeah.
Okay. As an officer,
Navy divers.
We have to learn how to pick up our bikes correctly.
Yeah.
Okay. Civilians don't know how to pick up a bike, right? They'll immediately grab the handle and try to, these numbers. So were you required to pick up your bike if it laid down?
That's our pre-interview before we were even able to schedule an interview to even think about coming over. They put a bike down on both of its sides. You got to pick it up from both sides all on your own. put it up on a center stand, walk it forward and backwards on an incline and decline, show that you can just do that minor stuff before you're even able to go to the academy. And then, of course, the academy being what it is, bikes went down a couple times and there ain't no one there to help you pick it back up.
Right.
So,
and you're talking what, about a 600-pound bike?
A little bit more than, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you do personally when you've had those days of frustration? We all get them. So what do you do when you get to that point?
Like I said, honestly, I haven't had that many frustrating days. And I mean, my biggest frustrating days are the people I couldn't help. Like we had a lady, we got a multiple radio calls on her. She was just acting super weird. Like I said, we went and talked to her 2 different times, and both times we left. I'm just going to bed. I'm sorry. Third time we went to the house was because she jumped off a 7th-story balcony. So that's been one of my worst days out in the department in over 4 years, because like, how'd we miss it? Like, what the heck? I told my wife, I was like, I lost Marines in combat. Like, why is this one affecting me more than some of those affected me? But like being an amputee, like I've been lucky, like super lucky. Like I really just haven't had those bad days because of this. Like my bad days are stuff that are completely out of my control, you know, couldn't get to a call fast enough or something like that. But, you know, my wife, this month will be 31 years married. On the 30th is our 31-year wedding anniversary. We've been together since high school. Like we're the Jerry Springer story with a happy ending. Like no one
Springer story.
Straight up, like she was 15 when I got her pregnant. Like we should not still be together. Yeah. My first son was born while I was in boot camp right out of high school. And here we are, you know, 31 years married later, and 4 kids that are adults. They're all doing good. 3 or 4 grandkids now. And it's like, we're still together. And we still best friends. I mean, honestly, like she has really helped me out, like through all this, like physically and mentally. Like she knows what I went through in the Marine Corps. Like she saw me break down because of Julie. Julie's a bitch. Like she screwed me up in the head. Like every time, like she knows all about it. Like there's no such thing as oversharing with her, which has really helped out. So
yeah. How did the rest of your family react, like your kids, when?
It's kind of funny. I asked my wife, I was like, my kids took it very hard. Like, because I got twin daughters. One of them lives in Houston. She's a dispatcher, and her boyfriend is Houston PD. Well, they were in town because it was my birthday. So they came to town. Both of my sons live in Phoenix. My younger son was actually in town as well for my birthday. So after the crash, like I'm stuck at the hospital and my wife's driving back and forth, and all my kids are like, "Mom, we're going to stay." She's like, "No, you're not. Y'all need to go home. Like we need to figure this out." But my kids took it really hard. One of my sons ended up quitting his job in Phoenix and moving back here with his family until like some tough love had to happen. I was like, "Hey, dude, like we got to figure out what our life is going to be now. Like we got to figure out what our new normal is. Like we can't be doing this with you. Like I got it. You want to be here to help, but kind of like we said here, we got to let us figure it out on our own."
Yeah.
So it was rough, you know, but like I told my kids, like, you can't be more worried about this than I am. Like, I'm not like, I'm going to make a full recovery. Like get over it. Like this, it sucks, but I told them, you'll see, like, we're going to be running the turkey trot in November, like we always do. And we did. So, and they're like, "Oh, great. Now he's going to have one more thing to hold over our heads." Like, "Oh, I did the turkey trot on one leg." It's like,
so what, Mark, one thing I noticed that bothered my wife in the very beginning here, and sometimes it still gets to her, is when, you know, these individuals stare, you know, and they stare at her, and you feel the judgment, you know, coming from them.
Well, they also say really hurtful things, and that's why kids today.
Or they say something, you know, something stupid, like in the grocery line. You
Oh,
know,
great. You get behind the one person, it's going to take forever to unload her cart. Great.
right?
And these are regularly aged people.
Yeah.
So with your positive mindset that you have, what would you say to new amputees out there? They're going to go through this.
So just because of my mentality, I make a joke out of everything.
So do I.
I was in the grocery store. I bought those sock liners with the graphics on there. One's like an alligator. It looks like it's biting down on my leg. And so, I'd be crutching through the grocery store. My dad actually, who lives in Louisville, Kentucky, came out here for a couple weeks afterwards. And we're going through the grocery store doing what we do. And all these kids are staring and looking. I'd tell them, hey, this is what happens when you don't eat all your fruits and vegetables. They'd be like, mortified, right? And that's, one thing that I try to come up with a new reason. People are like, oh, what happened? One of my favorite ones was I could tell someone was not trying to get political, but everyone has their own stance on the COVID vaccine. And I could tell that this person was very they're on their 15th shot. I could tell. So like, what happened? I was like, COVID vaccine. They're like, what? I was like, yeah, I took the first dose and ended up losing my leg because of it. Like, oh my God. I'm like, I know. It's like, you're a terrible human being. I'm like, yeah, well, But so that's what I tell them. I was like, have fun with it. People are going to look, people are going to stare, but screw them,
Right.
They don't know what's going on. Don't let them control your life.
I'm this person that I make light of everything. And it's like, because I'm also deaf and I'm like, this is great. I can turn him off. I don't have to hear him. This is fantastic. But you go somewhere, it's like, just come up and ask me. Can I answer a question for you? I mean, most of my body's all scarred up from what I went through. And it's like, hey, you can come up and ask me and I'll talk to you. But it's the adults that are worse than the kids. I was walking around a store and this gorgeous little girl was like, what happened to your arm? And I said, I lost it. And she goes, Mom, I'm going to help this nice lady find her arm. And it was like, if I could find it in this store, I promise you, I'm buying you every toy the store has to offer. So, I mean, it was just, the kids are the greatest. And it's just the adults that are like, just so crass and rude and, they want to stare, and it's like, it's not going to give you the plague or anything if it touches you. You're okay. It's just, some people are just relentless and mean, and I always make light of it. It's like, I always make, this is unstoppable, so you can say whatever you want. We're not filtered. But like when he would make comments, I'm like, no more handouts for you. Like, these are all comments, and no matter how many people I deal with, they're like, I said, you don't understand. It is, being an amputee is tough. I mean, that's just tough. But to lose I actually was a martial arts instructor. And so to lose that, and I taught sign language to special needs. So to both, I mean, that was like a huge double whammy for me, and it messes up your balance.
Yeah.
So that was really hard. And it's like, people don't understand that I have to make people laugh about everything because it makes me feel better to see people smile at the same time. But my husband, bless his heart, he's all like, babe, no, I'll carry it. Give me that. No, you can't carry that. Or I'm like, can't get the door, or whatever the case may be. And I love him to death for it. But people who haven't gone through something traumatic, like the loss of a limb, doesn't understand. Like some people I've talked with, Mark, in the coalition, they are just like, they think their life is over. And I'm like, you're still here. You can still function. You just learn a different way to do it, And so many people don't carry that mentality of life with them. They think it's over because they lost that limb, and it's totally not. You get just to do everything a really cool new way.
Well, and that's why I tell people, like, you have to check your emotions. Like, don't waste your emotional energy on stuff that is completely out of your control. Like I tell people, my foot ain't going to grow back. So why am I going to sit there and continue to stress about it? Like, it don't matter how much Miracle Grow I put on that thing, it ain't coming back. Like, I ain't Deadpool. I ain't gonna sprout some little nub coming out of there. As much as I think it'd be cool, not gonna happen. So how about I focus on what I can control? And that's how I'm gonna react to these different situations. Like the people at the stores, the adults, hey, my eyes are up here. I'm more than just a missing limb, people. And like, I'll call them out on it when I see them staring. I'm like, you got questions? Like, I'll tell you what happened. Like, oh, sorry. Like, it's all right, man. Just
tag number. When are you going to be driving?
Well, that's even my license plates. So both of my vehicles, I've got those digital license plates where you can put your own personalized stuff on there. Like my truck says I'm on my last leg, and then my car, I got a little sports car, and it says it only cost me a leg. So, usually when I get out of here, people start cracking up like, oh, now it makes sense. So I'm like, yeah, make light of it,
For my amputation, I had them wearing shirts that, my wife's an amputee warrior, and it was like, it cost me an arm and a leg, but I'm a great negotiator.
That's it.
And then for every Christmas, I do gingerbread cookies, but they have one arm missing. Because I think that's great. You can't laugh about it and you're not amputated. Then what is wrong with you? Go get a hug somewhere, right? Just go get hugged.
Yeah.
Because they need a hug and a smile. Why are you laughing at me like that? Like, because see now, but you've heard it from someone else that we just have to do our thing. Like we have
until you fall flat on your face.
I got the ring video because I got cameras all around my house. My wife comes out, she looks at me. I'm on crutches, spraying down our concrete patio, and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna help." Okay. Next thing you know, the crutch goes boom, and I'm like, bam, right on my face. She didn't even try to help. She's like, "You good?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna lay here for a minute."
My ego's over there. My leg is over there.
It's like, damn it.
See,
she's like, "I told you." It's like, yeah, I'll figure it out. Like,
we will. We'll get it. We'll get it.
I think he's a little tougher than you. Yeah. Mark, she has probably had 150 something surgeries.
damn.
Okay, due to past domestic violence and medical foul ups. She has a titanium jaw.
No, I have 2 titanium jaws, top and bottom.
Shoulder replacement. She's still got wires in her arms, in her side here. You had something with your hip.
You don't even know your wife. I look like
you've got everything.
A bionic.
Yeah. So, if she falls or something happens, it's going to be catastrophic.
Yeah.
It's going to be far more surgery than what it would.
Their amputee brother. Don't listen to this. Seriously?
He took a bath tonight. I heard something fall,
He comes flying up the stairs. Are you okay? Are you okay? What's going on?
Coming through the door, buddy.
It was the shampoo bottle that fell.
Well, that's my wife's biggest concern is so after the amputation, we getting in and out of the bathtub, realized that's probably going to be the most dangerous thing I do every single day. So we modified my shower now. So it's a walk-in shower and there's a bench in there with grab bars, but I'm still too stubborn. I will balance myself on one leg trying to shower. She's just waiting for the day. She's knock on wood, hasn't happened yet. She's just waiting. She's like, mm-hmm. She's like, I know it will. She's like, it's not going to feel good because that's a tiny spot. Like you said, we just cross that bridge when we get to it.
When I first drove, he's like, how are you doing the turn signal? How are you doing this? How are you doing that? I do it. I don't have any modifications. I got this. They're like, oh, do you want the vehicle modification where it's on this? No. Do you want? No. It's like, don't treat me like I'm like a little glass jar and your hands are full of soapy water, right? And that you're afraid you're going to drop me because I'm tough. And I'm like, hey, all my replacement parts, I'm all replaced. My parts are replaced. So I told him when I get to be like 70 or 80, you just have to send me through a car wash of WD-40. That's it. That's all he has to worry about. And I'm like, I don't have to worry about, oh, my parts are breaking of this or breaking that because it's already been fixed.
Like Mark, I say, a lot of it will be under warranty. We'll just get replaced anyways.
Let us know in the future if you decide to write a book or anything. We can help promote it.
Absolutely, you should. We would love to talk with you. We have something called the Stucco Squad, and Stucco is my service dog, my sweetheart. And we have created the Stucco Squad. I'd love if, when we're not recording, to send you some for the department. We have stickers, and we came up with like bracelets that he has his on. And so if you're in the hospital or something happens, they're not going to make you take it off. It's not metal. And it just reminds them how amazing they are. Just kids in general. We do classes for them, and it's all free. There's no cost to anybody, but it reminds them that they are amazing. And, and when you go to a call, domestic, which is the most dangerous call to go on, But, anything involving a kid, it's so scary for them as it is. And then we give them a bracelet. We give them a VIP Stucco Squad membership card where they're just automatically in there. They have their own private Facebook group. And it's a place for kids to feel valued, heard, and welcomed and loved. And, we have a bunch of other organizations that incorporate it. And we would love, to talk with you off of the recording and get that out there for your department too, because these kids really need to learn, especially in today's time with everything that's going on.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, have you had to deal with any school shootings personally?
Thank God, no.
Yeah.
Thank God, no. We get a lot of threats where we're going. We work very closely, especially my last assigned area, my last service area that I had. We had several schools, and they were pretty rough schools for downtown San Diego. So lots of mental health professionals being called in, talking to these kids, getting them, psychiatric evaluations. But luckily, nothing has occurred that they got to. Knock on wood. But
Yeah, knock on wood. Why do you think there's so much more violence today from a law enforcement point of view than there was when we were all in school?
I think it's the lack of respect just for our fellow humans. I don't want to be that 50-year-old guy. Oh, it's these stinking video games, but we're desensitized to violence. 100. All these games and the music and the movies. We are so desensitized. That was part of our training in the Marine Corps, was the desensitization to all this violence, and now it's like we don't have to do that anymore because we're already desensitized to it. Like there is no value for human life anymore, and it's holy crap. Like what the heck is wrong with people?
Right. It's awful. And I mean, kids are playing 20 hours a day. And when they're not playing, the reality of our life is not their reality. Like to them in their mind, their real world is video games. Like they don't comprehend the real world of life. And I've been dealing with this one family we talked about off air, and they have kids that are under the age of 7 who have phones that they're addicted to. And if their phone dies, like the world stops. I have to get my charger. Why isn't my phone working? I have to get back on the phone. I don't. And I'm like, why do you have a phone and you're 7? Like, why are you on why are you playing video games that involve killing and like these brutal things? Like you see people just dismembering body parts on these games, and these kids love it. Yeah. And it's like, and you wonder why the violence level is where it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree. Like I said, we are so desensitized, but that's, it's the world we live in now, and it's unfortunate. Like, just yesterday watching all the Oklahoma City bombing stuff. Like, that stuff didn't happen. Like, that's why that was tragic in and of itself. But now it's like something like that would happen today, and we wouldn't be surprised like we were back then.
No, we would just be like, yep.
It's like, well, it's like, holy crap, like terrible.
Yeah, and it's horrible. I mean, I really think, and we've even seen where school now are carrying bulletproof backpacks, and it's like, when did you ever think we would get to that point?
Yeah, I was my partner. We got, because how long we've been out of the department, we got issued new vests, and he was all excited. He was using his old ballistic panels as inserts for his kids' backpacks. I was like, that is so crazy to think like that's the world we live in these days.
Yeah.
It's like,
that's so scary. Yeah. And then when you see resource officers that are running away and not going in to help these kids and teachers.
Or in our case, they're being cut from the schools. So they're not even there to begin with.
Wow.
Yeah, they, at one point they didn't want any police. I grew up with metal detectors in my school just because of where I grew up, because it was a very high crime area where I grew up outside of Chicago. So, I mean, I was used to having uniformed police officers. We were getting scanned, like bad stuff happened at school, but that's just because of where we lived. But now, I mean, it's at a whole new level now where these kids, it's like, just because of that Florida shooting the other day, like that deputy's, that kid, the adult kid had access to mom's gun. It's like, holy crap. Like you know, we verify where all my stuff's actually locked up, you know?
Yeah. Over on the East Coast over here, there actually was where a kindergartner shot somebody at school. And it's just like, are you serious? Like, that's just, I can't fathom that that's the world that we're in. Like,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Mark, I want to thank you for your time coming on our show today.
My pleasure. Thanks for the invite.
I would love to have you to come back. Absolutely.
Well, I just hang out at my house if I'm not working. So I got a 6-month-old grandbaby here, so.
Oh.
Well,
So my wife's loving this right now because she gets her all to herself.
everyone here at A Contagious Smile, thanks Mark Wright for coming on the show. Senior.
And for all of
Mark Wright
his
Senior.
dedication for what he has done for this wonderful country that's losing hope and changing for the worse.
That's right.
No, thank you all for having me.
Thank you so much. I really truly appreciate everything. And we will make sure that if you want us to put any links or anything out there for people to be able to get a hold of you, make sure that I get those and I'll put them in the notes for everybody as well.
Feel free, put my social media stuff out there. Like I said, I already get hit up by people out here, and if I can be a resource for someone struggling in another part of the country, I'm all about it. You know, I'm part of our department's peer support program for a reason, because I do want to do this to help people. So
absolutely. Well, stay by 1 second while we wrap this up. And
no
we're
worries.
going to thank everybody again for listening, and we will see you next.
Bye, y'all.